There's a few brand new Nintendo Switch stories we have to talk about today, starting with a surprising Pokemon game sale that just went live that you want to pay attention to if you don't own any of these franchise classics. Then we also have to cover an interesting update that just hit the Nintendo Switch Online app. Then the big talking point for today's video is the reason why a lot of Nintendo fans are expecting some kind of games presentation to be happening from Nintendo directly as soon as this week. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we got a few different stories we have to get through today, and we have to kick it off with a surprising Pokemon sale that just hit. This is going to be a very limited time sale as a warning to everybody, so if you're watching this video a day or two after it's uploaded, it may already be done with, but as of right now, both at Best Buy and Amazon, you can get some steep discounts on certain Pokemon titles. And to read through the list of what is discounted to what price exactly, let's quickly hop over to Nintendo Everything, where they have a detailed article typed up around this topic. So the discounted Pokemon games reads as follows: new Pokemon Snap down from $59.99 to $39.99. Both Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee both discounted to half price from $59.99 down to $29.99. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl both down to $40 from their original $60 price point. Then you have Pokemon Sword and Shield also receiving that same discount of $20 off, or $39.99, as opposed to their $60 regular retail. The article then continues, the Pokemon sale is currently running at Amazon here. Best Buy also has all of these deals here. It seems that the sales will expire as early as tomorrow, so be sure to get on it while you can. And while the $20 discount on many of these titles is very nice, the one recommendation and the thing that I would definitely point out if you haven't already picked them up is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I had so much fun with that game. I know it's not necessarily the most popular with the hardcore Pokemon fans, as they did definitely simplify the formula in a lot of ways, but when I tell you guys the hours I put in on the shiny hunting in that game, having all of the Pokemon available in the overworld, and it being all based around Gen 1, which of course is the most nostalgic group of Pokemon for me personally, because Gen 1 primarily, even 2 and 3 were in there, but Gen 1 was legitimately my childhood, and trying to get the entire card collection completed, watching the anime every day, and then also having the Pokemon Game Boy games alongside of it. It is a brilliant recreation of that first gen experience, and I definitely think that anybody that skipped up on those titles when they were first released definitely needs to go back and give them a look, and right now might be the perfect time to do it at 50% off. But I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below whether or not you own all these Pokemon games, if you'll be entertaining the idea of picking any of them up, and if so, which ones will you be grabbing as part of this sale. So I do look forward to hearing from you guys on all things in this surprise last minute Pokemon sale in the comments down below. Now, the next story we're talking about today has to do with Nintendo Switch Online and its app getting a brand new version with some new functionality, and you may be wondering, well, what is this all about? And surprisingly, Nintendo has taken time to develop the mobile app that I think maybe 5 people use across the board. Clearly, I'm joking, but there's not a lot of usage on this app, and I think it creates an interesting talking point that they're even putting in effort into updating it at all. But the update that we did indeed see go live today is support for light and dark themes on the app. As you can see, the following confirmation that what's new, you can now switch between light mode and dark mode. Note, supported for Android 10 and later. Improvements have also been made for performance and ease of use. Now, while that is clearly not major news to anybody in any way, shape, or form, I think it just creates an interesting talking point around what Nintendo is doing in 2022 with their online infrastructure, because I think it's pretty much universally decided on that it is a big omission to not have basic functionality to connect with friends directly through your Switch, whether that be from just a messaging platform side of things or direct voice connectivity. We know that Nintendo markets their consoles as family devices first, and that may be some of the reason they don't want to dabble into that, but the Switch is clearly technically capable of it, and you have things like parental controls, so if you want to age gate voice chat and messaging all together behind whatever age you set as the parental holder, I don't think it's that hard of a thing to pull off, and definitely something that, if we're not talking about it in this generation, should absolutely be implemented in the future generations of Nintendo hardware, because it's just simply part of the gaming culture in the modern era. And it's just funny to me that Nintendo legitimately markets the fact that they have voice chat available, but what do? Download an app on your smartphone and talk to them that way. Now, this does also create some talk around Nintendo's thought process with themes to begin with. Have they forgotten about light and dark being the only options for the Nintendo Switch based system, and will we ever see them add in themes to the current round round of hardware, well, Nintendo has done some of the most off-the-wall system updates over the course of time, with many people first asking for Bluetooth support for headphones. Like, why do we have to plug it in through the aux cable? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They should be able to implement this. Years down the road, we saw Nintendo enable Bluetooth support that we now have, and then most recently, a long-awaited feature such as folders, which are still not on the home screen, to be fair, and I definitely see some complaints about that, but you can quickly get over to the all software menu and do their new groups feature, which you can essentially group together your games and title them however you want, which is a nice addition. So will Nintendo, like 6-7 years into the Switch's life cycle, finally give us some kind of custom themes, maybe even charge for some premium themes and have them dynamic in the background? Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 theme being sold after launch, I think would do incredible. Even if you put it at something like $1.99 on the eShop, I would definitely pay it for a dynamic Breath of the Wild 2 theme that's been around since the PlayStation 3 era. And there's just some things that when it comes to Nintendo Switch Online, I really want to see them take a more modern approach. I know not everybody is a fan of trophies and or achievements, but having something like that built in and attached to your gamer profile on something like Nintendo Switch would be an incredible addition and just really add more value to the first party Nintendo titles that come out, to me, in my opinion. So I hope that we see Nintendo take somewhat more of a modern approach with their Nintendo Switch Online going forward. And it was just funny to me when I saw this app update and you just realize that they're actually putting extra development dollars behind their phone app that I think very few people are using, period, and not putting it on the system functionality directly. But I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below how you feel about Nintendo Switch and their online footprint in 2022 right now, and the kind of functionality we have on the console. Are you happy with everything that's available, or are you kind of like me and you think that we should be getting more in this current age of technology that we are in 2022? So I want to hear from you guys on all things Nintendo Switch Online and the state of it in the comments down below. Now, the last word we're talking about today is the reason why a lot of Nintendo fans are now expecting some kind of games presentation as soon as this week. We are talking about the potential for an Indie World Nintendo Direct, which we typically would have already seen air by now, and we haven't gotten any kind of official announcement. And the reason this is in the news is Nintendo insider Emily Rogers, which, to be fair, is one of the most well-known and respected insiders with actual accurate leaks and accurate track records, especially when you're talking about things like an Indie World and or Nintendo Directs being around the corner. And to quickly get on the same page with all of the details and why this is being talked about, let's quickly hop over to our Gaming Leaks and Rumors, where they have a breakdown of exactly what was said. Nintendo Indie World Showcase possibly coming this week. Emily Rogers replied to a Nintendo Direct speculation thread on Family Boards with the following comment: "Any fans of indie games here? Also, Nate Drake is awesome." It's not direct confirmation, but last time Emily spoke up about an indie showcase in December, it was announced shortly afterwards. So I think when you look at history with Emily saying stuff like this is kind of her way of essentially leaking the fact that she knows an Indie World is around the corner. It's relatively safe to set your expectations to get some kind of announcement from Nintendo. Could be as soon as this week. Maybe it just happens in the month of May, period. I don't think they do it super close to that heavily rumored and speculated upon June Nintendo Direct, but I do think that it happens before then. And, you know, there's going to be a number of notable indie titles they could talk about, while the big hype one that I think everybody is looking forward to being Hollow Knight Silksong, some kind of new trailer, gameplay information, maybe a release time window. We have gone so long without any word and update on that game, and I know fans are ready for it. However, in my personal opinion, it could be an Indie World show closer, but I think it is much more likely to be featured at a mainline Nintendo Direct at this point, just because the fan hype around this game. And if it is the show closer of the Indie World Direct, it will definitely elevate that showcase's presence as a whole, because while I am a fan of numerous indie titles, I never get near as hyped for those direct presentations compared to a mainline Nintendo Direct, and I think a lot of people are on the same page with that. There's definitely some very unique things that we see featured there, but in terms of the amount of those games that I actually end up going through, purchasing on the eShop and checking out, it's nowhere close to the amount of mainline first-party Nintendo games that I buy that we see revealed at something like the main Direct presentations. So again, not confirmation, but definitely something to have on your radar in terms of upcoming Nintendo planned events. And I am hopeful that this one does indeed come to fruition, because I'm ready for some kind of new Nintendo game announcements, as May is definitely feeling like the lighter month of 2022 so far compared to every other month. We've had a pretty major release, and of course we're hot off the heels of Nintendo Switch Sports, but there are really no other major first-party Nintendo games that we know to be coming to the system until Mario Strikers Battle League up next in June. So May does definitely feel like a logical time slot to hold a lot of shadow drops from an Indie World presentation, and hopefully we get TMNT Shredder's Revenge information, release date, and everything there. I would love for that game to be ready to go sooner rather than later. People are already getting hands-on gameplay with that for the first couple stages, and it's looking and sounding great. So this may indeed be a presentation worth looking forward to. So at this point in the video, guys, I want to hear from you all on everything that we talked about today. Are you planning on picking up any of the Pokemon games on sale? What are your thoughts with Nintendo and their stance in their online service offerings in the year of 2022? And definitely share with me whether or not you are personally expecting some kind of Indie World showcase to be announced in the upcoming weeks here in May. Please share all your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Make sure you check out the weekend video if you haven't already, where we boot up the GameCube together, walk through some of my favorite all-time classic titles of that era, and also have a broad discussion around whether or not we can ever expect Nintendo GameCube library of games to make it to something like Nintendo Switch Online. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.